Crisis Radio again. Take a look at that Russia Today interview I did this week. You can see that at the YouTube Russia Today site. It sums up some of these points in a fairly concise way. Concerning the dollar weakness, dominating, I think, a great deal of what's going on in the world, we have the Hong Kong chief executive, Donald Tsang, T-S-A-N-G, says on the Friday before Obama arrives, that would be a week ago today, he's frightened by loose U.S. monetary policy. Where is the money going? It's where the problem is going to be, Asia. You can see asset prices going up, not only in Korea, in Taiwan, in Singapore, and in Hong Kong, going up to levels that are incompatible or inconsistent with the economic fundamentals. What they're referring to is the dollar carry trade. The 0% lending by the Fed to the zombie banks allows the zombie banks to take those dollars, sell them, driving down the dollar, right, contributing to dollar weakness massively, and then invest them in highly speculative ventures in the Far East. And this is also what Liu Mingkang, the number one bank regulator of the People's Republic of China, says that the 0% lending binge by the Bernanke Fed is the main cause of massive speculation, new bubbles, asset bubbles, misallocation of capital. So this is the take from the Far East. They're attacking Bernanke, and well they might. He deserves it. We've also got some interesting things going on. One of the things you can do to fight this kind of economic warfare by the U.S. and the British is capital controls and exchange controls, right? If you don't like economic globalization and globaloney, well, great. One of the things you can do is slap on capital controls and exchange controls. That was proven by Mahathir Mohamad, the genius prime minister of Malaysia, back in 97, 98, 99, in the Asian contagion, or better yet, dollar contagion crisis. It was shown that Malaysia came out of this and lost less. They came out better than the countries that hadn't done it. So what we now have is Brazil imposing capital controls to stem the incoming tide of hot money. And hot money means hot dollars from Bernanke's 0% dollar carry trade. Taiwan froze the ability of foreign investors to place money in time deposits, and that would be attempt to speculate within the realm of the Taiwan dollar. These are big Asian tiger economies. And, of course, gold has reached an all-time high during the course of this week that we're just concluding now. So tremendous dollar weakness. Now, what's behind it now? If Bernanke keeps the 0% interest rate, that's going to fuel the worldwide asset bubble. But suppose he takes the advice of barons and others that he's got to start raising interest rates soon. Well, of course, that will bring down the U.S. stock market bubble. That will cause even more unemployment that you have. So within the realm of the Fed's monetary policy, there's no good solution. If you keep with the 0%, then you've got a crashing dollar and all the problems that come with that. And if you try to attract hot money back in with an interest rate increase, then you're going to be strangling even what little economic activity is left here. So this is where we get the temptation to do something like what I've called Operation Safe Haven. Operation Safe Haven starts from the idea, which is widespread in Wall Street, that if you have a big world crisis, a great fear, a shock, some kind of a stunning event, could be a false flag, could be a Gulf of Tonkin, could be a number of things. We'll go through some scenarios. But the basic idea is if people get scared, if they feel the cold breath of panic on their necks, they're going to run back to New York and reconvert into the dollar. Now, this is what was done. It was done by Kissinger in 73, 74 with the fake oil crisis, hooked up, Salzgier-Baden, Bilderberg meeting of that year and all the rest of it. Kissinger did one. Brzezinski, not to be outdone, did his in 1979. And the idea is if you drive up the price of oil, that sucks up a lot of dollars. So the pressure on the dollar is relieved. Now, what could it be? Well, Pakistani civil war. Yes, that's going on. Suppose the Pakistani civil war gets to be bigger. Suppose Islamabad falls to some military force. Or, even more likely, suppose the Taliban, so-called the Pakistani Taliban, the Al-Qaeda Taliban, get close to or get their hands on some of the Pakistani nuclear weapons. The U.S. is already taking advantage of that to try to seize the Pakistani nuclear weapons. Don't do it. If they did it, they'd probably give them to the Taliban to get this kind of a crisis. We've also got what we referred to a couple of times, the Houthi, Houthi, a Shiite sect in Yemen. The Zaydites and the Houthis are the ones that are supported by Iran. This is a Shiite front against the Sunni Wahhabites of Saudi Arabia. Anyway, you've got a civil war in Yemen. Saudi Arabia supports the government. Iran supports the Houthi rebels. You've had shooting, you've had air raids, you had some tank battles, and you have had some maritime incidents in the Gulf. Now, knowing that we're dealing with the old masters, Zbigniew Brzezinski is always adamant. The U.S. military forces are already overextended. We do not need new wars. He's favorable to staying in Afghanistan, but not starting new wars. So suppose you could play Saudi Arabia against Iran. Oh, it's a dream scenario for the Brzezinskiite faction. You don't have to do anything. You let Iran fight Saudi Arabia. As a result of this, the insurance rates on tankers in the Gulf will go sky high, and you don't even have to block the Straits of Hormuz, although you might do that. It's going to lead then to tremendous disruption of oil. If the Persian Gulf oil is disrupted, who gets hit on the chin? Europe, Japan, China. Well, so much the better. The U.S., of course, getting it from Africa, from Venezuela, from Alaska, from other sources. By the way, the British designed to have 10 highly modern nuclear reactors is also an attempt to make themselves a little bit more insulated against shenanigans like this. Suppose you have a coup d'etat in Saudi Arabia. Well, we have a reported coup d'etat back in August when Prince Bandar, the head of the National Security Council, attempted to interfere in the royal succession, presumably in his own favor, and was then put under house arrest. The world is still wondering what happened to Prince Bandar. Where is he? Because he had been thought to have changed his coat, turned his coat from being Bandar Bush, the U.S. friend, to being the great friend of Putin and Russia. That would make a lot of sense for a smart guy like Bandar to do things like this. So anyway, how about a Gulf of Tonkin somewhere in the Persian Gulf? And again, the Israeli attack on Iran, I think, low on the list, because that then forces the U.S. to open up a new front, because the Israelis can start the war, but that's about all they can do. There's not much they can do against Iran. That would require the U.S. coming in, and everybody from Gates to Mullen to Brzezinski and so forth has said, no. So what the Israelis will do, it seems to me, is to follow those orders, client state as they are. Now, the other thing that contributes to this Operation Safe Haven scenario, look what's going on in the U.S. We talked last week about the Major Hassan Patsy case in Fort Hood. I was able to talk with Alex Jones about this on his program. If you want to look up my essay, it's on approximately 2,500 websites around the world. You can look through actindependent.org. It'll be up on tarpley.net quite soon. That upgrade is coming now. We've been promising it for some weeks, but it is coming. Anyway, find it anywhere you want. It's all over the place. That is the leading edge of a wave of Islamophobic hysteria. We'll be back in a minute.